For some time now, it's felt like the writing is on the wall for E3. It just feels like a dying event that's becoming less and less relevant every year, with COVID in particular having hit it pretty hard because of the numerous times they've had to cancel E3. At this point, they're trying to bring it back for 2023, but not long ago, back in January of 2023, we learned from news outlet IGN, based on information relayed by their sources, that Xbox, Nintendo, and Sony won't be a part of E3 2023. Those are the three biggest draws for E3. The reason people tune into E3 primarily is for Xbox, Nintendo, and PlayStation press conferences. None of them will be a part of this year's E3 if IGN sources are to be believed. News outlet Video Games Chronicle further corroborated this on January 31st, 2023, when they talked about how, according to Video Games Chronicle's publishing sources with knowledge of Nintendo's plans, the company has decided to skip E3 2023, the event's first physical show in 4 years, because it feels it has fewer major releases than usual ready to show, and which would justify significant event space. As for Sony and PlayStation, while they haven't been a part of E3 for many years now, they've decided to kind of go their own route and go by their own schedule, and with a primary cause of PlayStation dropping out starting E3 2019 being disagreements with the Entertainment Software Association, the ESA, though no further elaboration has been reported. And then finally, for Microsoft and Xbox, at the time of this article's publishing, January of 2023, discussions were still ongoing. It could yet have a business and media presence similar to last year's Gamescom, if not a traditional booth, but that's not really confirmed. And given that we're not that far off from E3 and we've yet to hear from Microsoft and Xbox about showing something at E3, it seems more likely that they're going to host their own event at around the same time, but won't really be an official part of E3 as they've done in the past, where they have their own show floor and space instead of being present at E3 itself at the LA Convention Center. The ESA was forced to respond to inquiries about all of this and about prospects surrounding E3 and how dire things look for the show. This is the statement that they put out, which is a whole lot of nothing, really. They're saying, we're going to talk to more partners, we're still going to put on a great show and whatnot, but it's clear that E3 is running on fumes at this moment. But at the very least, one could say, well, third-party publishers will attend. The likes of Ubisoft, EA, Take-Two, you name it. Those major publishers tend to have something to show at E3, so maybe we'll get some major showcases from them that will make it worthwhile enough to tune into E3. Well, about that. As reported by Video Games Chronicle here, it has been officially confirmed that Ubisoft has backed out of E3 2023 just weeks after announcing it would attend the expo. The company will instead hold its own Ubisoft Forward live event on June 12th in Los Angeles. Indeed, it was just a month ago, back in February 20th, 2023, that Ubisoft officially confirmed their E3 2023 presence, and all of a sudden they're saying, you know what, actually we changed our mind. Now, they did say at the time that they're still finalizing the details, so it wasn't 100% secure, but it seemed highly likely that Ubisoft, at the very least, will be present at the event. And now with Ubisoft backing out, with Ubisoft having attended E3 since, as far as I can remember, that certainly creates a sense of ominous foreboding surrounding E3's fate in the short term and in the long term. When even major third-party publishers who have been some of the biggest supporters of E3 are pulling out at this point and seeing E3 as not a worthwhile venture, at that point, I don't know what else you got left. Here's Video Games Chronicle's article fully reporting on this story. Ubisoft is no longer attending E3 2023 and will host its own event in June. Scrolling down, you'll find a full statement from a spokesperson who spoke to VGC, who said, E3 has fostered unforgettable memories across the industry throughout the years. While we initially intended to have an official E3 presence, we have made the subsequent decision to move in a different direction and will be holding a Ubisoft Forward live event on the 12th of June in Los Angeles. We look forward to sharing more details with our players very soon. Now, is this just a streamed event, or is this an in-person event that's taking place in Los Angeles? I imagine that there will be some kind of in-person thing, at least for media outlets who will be invited to try out some of the games that they're going to be showing off, is my speculation. But yeah, this reasoning right here, decision to move in a different direction, it's your typical non-statement of a PR statement when you don't really want to explain what happened happened behind the scenes. And that's what I'm really curious about. Why did Ubisoft back out? I don't know if this was a matter of Ubisoft looking at the state of E3 and going, yeah, maybe it's not worth participating in this event that's fizzling out, or if they didn't like where the organizers were taking E3 this year, or maybe it's got more to do with just Ubisoft itself not being in the best financial state. Its performance in recent months and quarters and years has not been particularly great, so maybe this is just a cost-cutting measure. Regardless, Ubisoft backing out is yet another major blow. They're, as far as third-party publishers go, one of the biggest attractions of E3. Yeah, it just feels like this year E3 is just going to be left with scraps, and it's really not going to draw much interest unless, I don't know, Take-Two announces Grand Theft Auto 6 or announces that they're going to announce Grand Theft Auto 6 at E3 or something along those lines, and a couple other third-party publishers who intend to showcase some major things at the event. In terms of okay, so if the big three first-party publishers, Xbox, Nintendo, and PlayStation aren't attending, and now Ubisoft isn't attending, who is? Apparently, almost nobody in the industry knows, based on what Jason Schreier tweeted here in response to Andy Robinson reporting this scoop. Jason Schreier responded with, one consistent conversation at GDC, the Game Developers Conference, where game developers congregate last week, was, is your company going to E3? No idea. Is it actually going to happen? Who knows? Across the board in the game development landscape, developers have no clue whether the publisher who they're working for are attending or if E3 is really even happening, as plans seem to be falling apart left and right. And if there's this much uncertainty just 3 months out from June of 2023, it's March 27th now, April, May, June, and considering that E3 is happening mid-June, it's actually closer to 2.5 months out. Seeing this much uncertainty surrounding this event that's not too far away gives me vibes that there is a likelihood that E3 2023 might be canceled because it just doesn't have enough material to make such a big event worthwhile. Or at the very least, the event will be downsized significantly. Even Jason Schreier seems to think that he wouldn't be surprised if E3 gets canceled at the last minute. And as of right now, again, roughly 2.5 months out from E3 2023, which is not that far away, Brian Altano pointed out that I believe this means that the current number of video game publishers confirmed for E3 is 0. Ubisoft was seemingly the one publisher that had confirmed their presence for E3 back in February. Now that they've backed out, we're back to 0. There's no hype surrounding this event anymore because we don't know what's happening. We don't know which major players are attending, if any, and game development publishers and studios and developers themselves just don't seem to be expressing a whole lot of enthusiasm for the return of E3 or seem to be confused as to what's going on, whether anything's really happening. It just doesn't sound like concrete discussions have been happening behind the scenes. It doesn't sound like developers have been working on demos specifically for E3 or anything like that, if this is the kind of discourse we're seeing behind the scenes. In the meantime, though, Summer Game Fest is more than happy to continue promoting that on June 8th. The Summer Game Fest is happening, and it's starting to feel like Jeff Keighley's event here is slowly going to start taking over E3. Jeff Keighley was among the first to leave E3 and express his condemnation for the way E3 has handled certain things, the direction that they're going for with the event. And so Jeff Keighley decided, screw it, you know what? I'll do it myself. I'll do it the way I believe these kinds of events should be run. So maybe Summer Games Fest will become the new E3 down the line. On some level, it's a shame because these in-person events were a great venue for people across the entire industry to gather, from players to developers to publishers to media outlets to content creators, for them to gather and share in their love for gaming and their excitement for what's to come. And despite all the cringe that can come out of E3, it was still cool to have this place that could be kind of like a Super Bowl of gaming where people could gather. So I hope something will take over E3 if E3 is to go down something like Summer Game Fest, and hopefully they can take the format and improve upon it. Whatever the case, this was supposed to be E3's big return, and so far it's looking like the return is nothing but an unceremonious whimper. I think I'd put money at this point that E3 doesn't have much longer to survive unless they pull some kind of miracle and really overhaul the event and really find a way to make it exciting again. But the more news I hear about E3, the more I see just nails being hammered onto that coffin. But I suppose only time will tell ultimately whether E3 is dead in the water for sure in the long term, or whether they'll find a way to, recover from this 2023 fumble where so many major companies and attractions are not going to be present at the event. But that's just one man's take. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on Ubisoft pulling out of E3 2023 after Xbox, Nintendo, and PlayStation are seemingly not attending the event, and what you think this means for E3 both in the short term and in the long term. Can this event survive, or do you think this is a nail in the coffin? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.